Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Daman, and I'm talking to you from this platform, BCI World 2022. The topic today is what, why, and how of operational resilience. A disclaimer in the beginning that the views that I'm going to express are my personal views and do not represent my company in any way. Currently, I'm working with EY as Program Director, Operational Resilience. In all, I have about 37 years of experience in the industry, over 17 years in resilience domains. So all that I know today is business continuity, risk, crisis, information security, very low level knowledge of that, but operational resilience and organizational resilience. In this journey, over this journey, I have won multiple national and global awards. I'm also inducted into the BCI Hall of Fame. I've written 3 books. The fourth one, My Experiments with Organizational Resilience, will be out on 11th November this year. I'm going to cover what, why, and how of operational resilience. To understand what of operational resilience or what is operational resilience, I would like to play a video for you to see the concept called too big to fail.
Too big to fail refers to the notion that a business has become so large and ingrained in a nation's economy that its failure would have catastrophic economic repercussions. When a government bails out a company that's too big to fail, it intervenes and provides the company with help to survive. The term goes back decades, but it was prominent during the 2007-2008 financial crisis, when the U.S. government bailed out certain companies and financial institutions that were deemed too big to fail. If a large company does fail, the companies that rely on it for their business may collapse as well, costing employees their jobs and leading to a cascade of negative effects that can hurt an economy. Governments weigh the cost of a bailout versus the cost of a company failing, and bailouts are sometimes the most cost-effective solution. While bailouts can avert an economic collapse, there are opponents who argue they might lead to unnecessary risk-taking, and that no company should be allowed to become too big to fail. Or in the event such a large company does start to go under, the government should not intervene.
In the past, we might have used a phrase, too good to believe. It's so good that it cannot be true. Going back by that logic, too big to fail may appear that it's too big to fail, that it cannot fail. It's so big that it cannot fail, which is not correct. Any organization may fail. And this is, no one is too big to fail. And this is the principle behind implementing operational resilience. Still going through what portion, let's look at the definition from BCBS. They define operational resilience as the ability of a bank to deliver critical operations through disruption. Very simple and short definition, and I like it. What is important portion is in this definition that it's only critical operations, not all full operations. Very good. Also, because BCBS has written it, so they talk of a bank. Replace a bank with an organization. The ability of an organization to deliver critical operations through disruption. This becomes valid for all organizations in the world. And for that reason, I would say operational resilience is required for all organizations in the world. Small, medium, large, simple, complex, government, private, public, NGO, educational institutes, all organizations can and must, according to me, must implement operational resilience. The second definition I have picked up is from Gartner, which is a little longer, but there's a reason behind that. Gartner defines this as initiatives that expand business continuity management programs to focus on the impacts, connected risk appetite, and tolerance levels for disruption of product or service delivery to internal and external stakeholders. So what we see is business continuity comes into picture. Many of us in the past, including me, might have thought that operational resilience is just a new name for BCM, just a replacement. It is not. The need is to implement operational resilience. The means or the way is through business continuity management. So business continuity management is very important portion. We also see risk appetite, which tells us that risk management and operational resilience go hand in hand. The third important point is internal and external stakeholders or the context of the organization. I have been an auditor also, having gone through companies and countries. And one of the findings, even if the journey for that organization and multiple organizations, I'm saying almost all clients, whether the journey for that management system had been for 5, 10, 15, 20 years of even certified journey, this is a weak point, which is almost in the beginning of any standard. The context of the organization has not been understood well or has not been defined, documented. So that is a weak point or an area to improve. The third definition is from productivity, again with some reason. Let's read that also. They define this as organization's ability to detect, prevent, respond to, recover, and learn from operational disruptions that may impact delivery of important business and economic functions or underlying business services. So what we start seeing is the PDCA, plan, do, check, and act cycle of continual improvement in operational resilience. What we also see is a movement from mission-critical processes, time-sensitive processes, or prioritized processes to important business services. Coming back to BCBS, they say operational resilience is an outcome that benefits from effective management of operational risk, which means if we manage our operational risks well and effectively, then our operations will be resilient. So let's have a quick look at some examples and cases of operational risk. Operational risk management, this definition from Wikipedia, is a continual cyclic process which includes risk assessment, decision-making, and implementation of controls. And when we manage risks, what we do, either accept, mitigate, or avoid a risk. In other terms, I also say there are 4 T's of risk management or in risk management. You either tolerate a risk, or treat a risk, or transfer a risk, or terminate a risk. 4 options. The last one is the least or the last option only, not the first or preferred option. Some examples of operational risks. Some I'm saying, not a comprehensive list necessarily. Cyber attacks, human mistakes. Regulations are not risks, but not being compliant to a mandatory regulation may become a risk for me. Outsourcing is good, but brings some risks along with that risk of losing control. Talent retention was perhaps always in the history a risk for almost all organizations, but in last 2.5 years of extended COVID-19 pandemic period, a new term came in the world, the Great Resignation, due to which talent retention might have become a bigger risk for some organizations. All organizations today are highly dependent on IT and data. So if there's any downtime in IT or data gets corrupt or lost, that would be a big risk. Change is good, but there are some organizations in the world which change at a very high speed. And that maybe I'm saying a risk. Again, from being an auditor, that experience, having been into companies and countries, organizations would say, Daman, we do not have processes, means not have written down processes. That's a challenge for sure, a business challenge. That's not a good practice. Or better situation, we have processes. There are too many. Again, there is no rule about it. Whatever you do, there should be a process for that. So maybe you are a big and complex organization, so you have too many processes. The third is, Daman, we have the written down processes. What I find as I go deep, when I go deep, is that the way the work is being done today and what has been explained in the written document do not match. And that is this is what I'm raising here. Picking up some cases, the first one is from a life insurance company called Life Inc. They have a person called David as a data entry operator. So we understand David's job is to pick up a paper and then transform that into machine data. While creating a new application record, he enters applicants per month salary as 1,000, while the applicant had mentioned 100,000 in the form. This could be a mistake. This could have been done knowingly also by David. What is the impact? What is the risk? That based on the person's age, sum assured requirement, lifestyle, etc., company might have liked to refuse offering this, granting this insurance to him or her. But because of 1,000 monthly salary, policy could get issued, and that would be a big risk for the company. The second one, again from Life Inc., a female employee called Lata is involved in a financial fraud. Peter knows this, but he does not report or escalate. Some hands would go up. Daman, this is financial fraud, which means it's financial risk, while the discussion today topic is non-financial risks or operational risks. Stay with me, please. That's the first part of the case. Look at the second part. Peter knows this, but doesn't report. That's what I'm focusing at, human error. What could be the reason? Multiple reasons. Perhaps Lata is a senior. That's why Peter doesn't have the courage to speak. Or Lata is a good friend. Peter doesn't want to lose a good friend by reporting about her negative work. Or Peter doesn't know that there is a process in the company through which he can report without even disclosing his name. And generally, most likely that process or the arrangement would be called whistleblower policy or arrangement or process. We need to be making people aware of our policies and processes also. Otherwise, they may not be using this. The third case is a true story from my old organization. I was the vice president, one of the vice presidents, global business quantity manager, and also part of the operations board. We had an incident logging tool. And once we checked and found that there were no entries in that. You may like to think about it in this session because this is being delivered to you as pre-recorded. You wouldn't be able to do this exercise, so think yourself. What is your interpretation of the case? I'll give you my interpretation, which is that a calm sea is not necessarily a good sign. Or a ship in the harbor at the port is safe, but the ships are not meant to be there in the harbor. The ships must be out in the field, sailing in the ocean where there may be risks. I also interpreted this as it was only zero recorded. We shouldn't take it as zero happened if we want to be a resilient organization. If you want to bring resilience in our operations, if we are a good organization, we need to go deep into the case, understand the root cause, and then attempt to fix it. That was quickly the what portion. Coming to why, which is the driver, the big why. Why should we implement? And I give 5 reasons. In some countries, in some sectors, it may be a regulatory requirement, a mandate from the regulator. So there is no way out. We need to implement it. Otherwise, penalties or even cancellation of the license. Some would say, Daman, we do not have a regulator or our regulator has not mandated operational resilience yet. You may still like to do it because it's good to be good. From your corporate governance angle, you may like to implement it. Or there may be penalties for non-compliance. It's not confirmed yet, but an estimate is that the penalty for non-compliance to Bank of England's operational resilience policy could be up to 250 million pounds. While we know there have been other cases of actual penalties also, and we see the amounts are very high. Or there are some gains, that's why you would like to implement, and the gains through compliance to any requirement may be fetching us return on investment ROI to the tune of about 300%. That's very attractive. Or the last one is to be excelling in our operations, to be resilient in our operations. Quick look at what Bank of England has issued. Number of documents. The most important or base document or the smallest document, let me say this way, is an operational resilience policy. Quick look at that. I'm just going to show the table of contents, only 5 sections there. What we see is that it talks of business continuity planning or business continuity management. The second document is from Central Bank of Ireland, who have issued a document called Cross-Industry Guidance on Operational Resilience. A quick look at that as well. And once again, just the table of contents. This is a little longer document, about 40 pages. What we see is the steps according to Central Bank of Ireland. Main steps: identify important business services, establish impact tolerances, do the mapping for dependencies and to find the resources required, implement ICT cyber resilience, and conduct the testing also. Main steps. We also see that it talks of business continuity management, incident management. So based on this, I make this statement that the need is operational resilience. The means is through business continuity management. It's not just a new name for BCM. BCM is not less important. It is very important. It's one of the main pillars in implementing operational resilience. In any organization, anywhere in the world, any program, one of the most important critical success factor is commitment of the top management. In my last book, My Experiments with Business Continuity Management, I have devoted one chapter to this, and I have called it not just the commitment, actually the continued commitment of top management. Looking at Bank of England's operational resilience policy, what is expected from the board? They need to approve important business services, impact tolerances for those services, and also a document called self-assessment report they also supposed to review these documents. So there is no way out. The board has to review and approve these documents. The third expectation is that they should possess knowledge, skills, and experience to provide constructive challenge to senior management. So very important point once again, to provide constructive challenge to senior management. What is senior management supposed to do then? They are supposed to implement operational resilience, report to the board, and if the board is not available due to any reason, then to take over the board's responsibilities. Central Bank of Ireland document provides us a little more understanding a relationship between operational risk, operational resilience is business and business continuity. Operational risk management focuses on minimizing risks. Operational resilience goes beyond this. Continuity of critical or important business services is an essential component of being operationally resilient. What we see is that it's talking of coordination between risk management, business continuity management, incident management, third-party risk management, information communication technology, cyber risk and recovery and resolution planning. So repeating, operational resilience is based on these 5-6 pillars, including BCM risk and crisis. What is happening globally? Specifically, a lot in the financial industry, but I will repeat, the concepts of operational resilience are common for all organizations. All organizations need to, I would say, must implement operational resilience. So Basel Committee has, BCBS, Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, has issued a document called Principles for Operational Resilience. Bank of England through PRA and FCA has issued number of documents around operational resilience, and actually it's a mandate in the UK. European Commission is also planning to issue DORA, Digital Operational Resilience Act. Central Bank of Ireland's cross-industry guidance on operational resilience, we picked up as an example also. And Federal Reserve Board has issued a document, Sound Practices to Strengthen Operational Resilience. These are a few. Many other countries and many other sectors and regulators might have issued similar documents, guidelines, instructions, or mandates. So I'm saying there are 6 main pillars to support or to build operational resilience in the organization. One of the most important pillar is business continuity. Risk management, crisis communication go hand in hand. Along with that, IT disaster recovery, third-party risk management, as well as information security, cyber security included within that, or separately, whichever way it may be in your organization. As I said, business continuity is one of the main pillars in implementing operational resilience. So I would like to spend some time quickly on BCM life cycle also. The first stage is called manage program. So BCM is a program. Within this stage, you would like to write, you would need to write policy and manual. Followed by a stage called analyze or understand the organization, during which you would need to conduct 2 most important activities in the cycle: BIA, business impact analysis, and RA, risk assessment. Followed by a stage called design. In this stage, you will design or develop the strategies or solutions to ensure the continuity of the basic minimum. Once strategies identified, developed, these need to be implemented. So stage is called implement. During this 4th stage, you would write different types of plans, including business continuity plan. Various plans, including business continuity plan, written, ready in stage 4, but is still not reliable or will not be considered, should not be considered reliable yet because you have not validated. So the validate is the next stage during which you conduct, test, review, and audit. Internal audit is mandatory. The PDCA cycle of continual improvement needs to be implemented in BCM also. And the last stage, embed. While I'm showing this in the last, it doesn't mean this is the last stage necessarily. Actually, it happens throughout. Embedding happens throughout other stages also. Embedding happens through training and awareness. And repeating, continual improvement. This is not one-time activity. Even if you get certified, you would not stop. You must not stop. You must continue forever. Coming to the close of my discussion, you may say, so Daman, what is the way forward? And this is my way of saying it. Start from risk management, move to enterprise risk management or integrated risk management, and achieve governance, risk, and compliance. And many hands would go up. Daman, we have been doing this for decades. Good, very good. Do not stop. No one is perfect in this world. So keep doing this and keep improving also. Implement business continuity management. Many organizations still may not have implemented. So do that, please, as fourth stage. And move to operational resilience. Achieve excellence in your operations. And the last step, organizational resilience. Quickly, if I have to say, organizational resilience may be 10 to 20 times bigger in scope, arrangements, efforts, effectiveness, and output compared to operational resilience. And by the way, even if you achieve that last stage, reach that last stage, organizational resilience, you would not stop. It's a journey of transformation and will have to continue forever with the help of all other previous stages that we have discussed. This is where I would like to stop today. You may have questions in the session when we sit together or later on. My contacts in front of you. Please feel free to write to me at any time, and I guarantee the responses. With this, I would like to stop here. The topic was what, why, and how of operational resilience. Thanks for your time.